Well, I thought it's probably a good idea just to have a chat about what actually happened for my arena to be such a disaster. One reason is I kind of forget. I've had a few concussions and things like that, and I have a terrible memory. I'm always losing things. So I think it's great for me to just make a few notes and also how I feel about things because that gets lost in text. So here's my story. Here goes. I wanted a 65 by 30 arena, specifically that size because my discipline is show jumping. So normally most people get a 60 by 20 arena, which is very, very common and mostly used for dressage. Not a lot of people can really afford a bigger arena, but certainly show jumpers make an effort to definitely get a bigger arena. You just can't jump on a 60 by 20. I would have liked a 70 by 30 or 70 by 35, but budget didn't quite allow for that. So I shopped around. I did look at an amazing surface, but going up a size from 60, it had like a beautiful water base underneath. It wasn't the ebb and flow, it was a different one. It had a beautiful rubber mat underneath, and you could have your fibre. I've talked in other videos about not being able to have fibre here, but it was just phenomenal. But the price for the size I wanted for show jumping was just undoable. Couldn't do it. I really wanted to go ahead with that company. The guy certainly knew his stuff and was such an expert and was very impressive. But unfortunately, we couldn't justify the budget, seeing as I'm just one old lady. I don't have kids, I don't teach, I don't do anything. I would literally be the only person using the arena. So we thought, 185,000 is a lot of money just for one old woman. So I shopped around, and what I learned was that, well, not shopping around, I asked around, and I asked around a lot. And I was hearing from people that everyone was having disasters. No one really had a good outcome. It was sort of like, everyone's had problems. So I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? I came across Shape It Up Performance Horse Arenas. Now, in the first point, it's actually in the company name, Performance Horse Arenas. And they told me I was arena number 61. And a very important point I want to make is that they held themselves out to be experts. So I, having built no arenas whatsoever, I've only ridden on ones that have already been built, some very good ones, some fibre, some I won't ride on because they're just not right. They're too loose, too deep, whatever. In fact, our show jumpers are quite pedantic about surfaces. So if we go to a show and the surface isn't right, we'll just pack up and come home. We just won't risk our horses' safety and lack of longevity on riding on a unsafe surface. So Shape It Up Performance Horse Arenas certainly did hold themselves out to be experts. Renata had such a very repetitive and strong sales pitch. Pretty much the only thing she said was the same thing over and over and over and over and over. Even when I wanted thinking time, she's still, blah, blah, blah. It can't be like, ball bearings. It's got to be this, it's got to be that. And it's, and we've just bought this property in Kyneton. And at the time, I've been project managing a million projects. Just, you can't imagine. So when these guys held themselves out to be experts and they kept saying, we're helping people with their VCAT cases because their builder has got it wrong. So we're going in as the experts to help other people. We've fixed a lot of arenas. We're the experts. We know what we're doing. You're arena number 61. I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't need to put too much brain power into working out what's the right thing. The other thing important to note, well, there's a couple of things. The other thing is I wasn't given any options as to the surface topping. So, and they were very convincing. So Renata is a very convincing salesperson. so she told me, you could have this particle and that particle and it's angulated and all of this sort of thing. And I thought, oh, great, good, excellent, tick. But of course, I don't know. So I wasn't given a choice in surface, and I couldn't have stressed enough that my discipline was show jumping, and it has different requirements. And that's what this case is about. They held themselves out to be experts, and I was very vigorous in pointing out that show jumping is different. We have different requirements, and I went through explaining everything that I'm about to put forward in this case, or everything that you've already seen, about, the speed you've got to ride at to achieve distances. You've got to turn. It can't be loose or soft because, everything I've already said. So I really, and in fact, other arena builders that I had come and quote, I was saying to them just how important it was to have a particular surface for show jumping. And I said, back in the day, all the World Cup show jumping, in fact, even now at Bonio, the big classes are on sand, or on grass, on sand. So it's a grass arena. It's prestigious to jump on grass, and you put studs in your horse's feet so the horses don't slip into the jumps because you can get killed. And now with the introduction of fibre and wax and all the other surfaces, the riders might be preferring to actually jump on that. But traditionally, it's always been grass because it's firm, and they water it, and that gives it enough cushioning, so it's to their liking. If they get it too wet, then they put bigger studs in so they don't slip. So I'm very knowledgeable and very passionate about show jumping, and I've ridden on nearly every, show surface that there is in Victoria. I've ridden on a lot, and I think there was 2 shows I've been to where one I just went home because the surface was not right. It was too loose and too deep. And one show where I shouldn't have ridden. I knew I shouldn't have ridden. I thought, oh, this is way too deep. This is just way too loose. And it cost me my horse. So he got badly injured and refused, and was injured for about 9 months, I think, because, the surface wasn't right, and I knew it, and I should have gone home. So suffice to say, I think you're getting the picture. I drilled it into Shape It Up performance horse arenas, and also other people that came to quote. And I kind of could see on some people's faces, they were like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. So it was quite easy to say, look, don't worry, you don't get it. I understand. You have to really understand the discipline to understand what I'm saying. But Shape It Up said they listened and said, yep. This is what we do. They understood my discipline. Excellent. Now, when they built it, I actually thought it was pretty awesome. I thought, oh, the landscaping work or the excavating was really, really good. I was happy with the precision that Clint had done. I didn't know whether you have a road-based surface or not. In hindsight now, I'm hearing from nearly everybody that it's got to be granitic sand. And I wasn't really doing anything with my horses because they were all so unfit, and because I hadn't been ridden since May, and we're now talking January 2021. I was really only walking anyway. I was really just doing a little bit of leg yielding, a little bit of this and that. I just had a new horse off the track who, just getting on the arena and walking around, getting off, just introducing a new harmless routine was my plan. And my grey mare, who I've just sold as a brood mare, was injured from somersaulting over a jump. Someone didn't put studs in her feet, so there you go. So I hadn't really used the arena for a month or so, and then I started cantering around it and trotting on it, and I thought, these footprints are going down to base. Like, that is just not okay. So I invited Renata back at least 3 times, and I said, look, I'm so sorry, I really hate to do this. We wanted you to do so much more work for us, because we love you. We think you're awesome. We've had drinks together on the back veranda. Think you're great. But I feel so horrible to point out that actually the surface isn't good. It's just wrong. It's just way too loose. It's too. I've been told since from other people, arena builders, that looking at the surface, which was crushed, what is it, crusher dust and concrete sand. They just said it is way too fine. It's just not, and nobody uses crusher dust. And I'll bring up the thing about the dust later as well. And I've been to a doctor. I've shown him the video of the dust, and he's just gone, nah, you can't. You've got to wear a mask if you're anywhere near it, and let alone it going all over your horses. So I've got a video about that. So finally, on the third visit, Renata came back and, again, just with the sales pitch, bam, 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 same thing, literally the same thing that she'd said from my very first visit. And I said, Renata, stop, you're not listening, you have to listen. And she wouldn't listen. She just would not listen. And I said, look, well, I was just about to burst in tears. And she just walks off, gets in her car, and that's the end of that. Got our money. We paid. We're good people to work for. We're friendly, easygoing. You can see that on the Donnelly Downs page. People have said that. And I'm like, oh my God, So I've written her a letter going through all the correspondence and what we agreed, and if we needed more topping, we would put on more topping and we would work together, and totally cool. No, she's blocked me on Facebook, I believe. She's blocked my phone number. I don't know if she's even getting my emails. She's just blocked everything. Very disappointing. I've sent her another email saying, look, I've got a $53,000 arena that I can't use for a number of reasons. This will be going to VCAT, but if you would like to come back and take off the surface yourself and refund or not refund, that's another whole question, but we obviously don't want the surface, and we felt that because Clint was so good with his machine, he might be able to take it off without actually damaging the surface, like the base, too much, and hopefully then we wouldn't need a new base. No answer. So they really haven't done themselves any favours. So I did employ somebody to take the surface off. I've indemnified them from any damage that they're bound to do, because if my horse can chip the base just cantering on it while it's got a topping, then a great big machine, no matter how careful you are, there's going to be damage. So there is damage, and I've had 4 arena builders so far tell me I actually need to replace the base. Well, we can build on top of it, but basically everything we paid for is just, we've got to start from scratch, except for the excavation. That was actually quite good, I thought. But yeah, so the surface is gone and the base is damaged. So I'm asking around again now. I've asked a lot of show jumpers, what do they use? Not everyone really understands what I'm saying, even about the biomechanics and the video of how horses are meant to stay on top of the surface and not sink into it and not be too hard. It's amazing. A lot of people don't really know, but a lot of show jumpers are saying granitic sand base, 10 centimetres, and then a washed river sand surface. Now, I'm worried that the washed river sand might be too slippery, so I'm sort of thinking of doing a 50-50 granitic sand and washed river sand topping. So that's where we're up to. No communication whatsoever from Shape It Up arenas, performance horse arenas that made themselves out to be experts. I can't afford to throw away $53,000, so they leave me no choice to go to VCAT. I think, yeah, I don't think they've done themselves any favours. One arena builder was here, and referring to the surface, he said, even though we paid $10,000 for the surface, he said that probably only cost them $5,000. So for $5,000, they've just done themselves a real disservice. So we're not hostile or crazy at this end, where I'm just really sad, actually. I've had to sell a horse that got injured not on that surface, but on another surface because they didn't put studs in her shoes, and she's injured and lost a lot of money on her. She's sold as a broodmare, gone to a lovely stud, so that's great. But one of the reasons why I sold her, a couple, were I can't even ride. We're coming into winter. I've got 2 other horses. I have no arena to ride on. I can't hack out on my horses because they're nut jobs. I've got one off the track thoroughbred who is just nowhere near close to hacking out. And my show jumper that I've retired, a good horse, he won't hack out. He can't stand it. You can only ride him really on an arena, and he is only sensible, in fact, if you've got jumps up. That's the most confident he is when he's got jumps up. However, trotting and cantering on that surface from Shape It Up, he was very frightened of even just doing a trot pole. Both big horses, both Ted and Rolex, slipped around corners. And when I mentioned that to Renata, she just called me a liar. She literally called me a liar. She said, that doesn't happen. And I'm saying, Renata, you're not listening. It is happening. I've got big horses. I'm trying to canter around the corners. I'm shitting myself that they are going to go down and, like, you know, have another concussion. And she just wouldn't believe me. And at no time have I ever been, you know, unpleasant or not, you know, wanting to be, you know, someone that she can deal with. I've tried to help them a few times, but she just wouldn't have a bar of what I've said. With regards to the dust, she said, oh, no one else has ever said that. But on Facebook, a few people have actually come forward and said, yes, they've had the same issues. They also ruined their arena. They didn't have the money to fix it, and they've all got a VCAT. So they are leaving a trail behind of unhappy customers. If you look at their Facebook page, and I'll take some screenshots, their number 1 best photo arena is actually my arena. So out of 61 arenas, I think they've only got photos of 2, and they've also got reviews turned off. So that kind of says something, doesn't it? Also, at one point when Renata was working here, she made a comment about, oh my God, the phone calls, and she just had to turn her phone off. In hindsight, I think I can probably imagine what that might be about. So that's where I'm up to. So I'm dealing with a few people now, and I'm being completely transparent and honest and saying I'm taking Shape It Up to VCAT. I will indemnify you, and I have in writing already to a couple of people saying I will make the decision because Shape It Up Performance Horse Arenas made themselves out as being the experts, and so I didn't get involved and I wasn't offered any, you know, options. And not only that, they said to me, but that's what we put on all horse arenas, is that, you know, we told you that's what we do. I said, but why would you do that? Because I told you my discipline is completely different. So they obviously didn't listen to my requirements. My requirements were very, very clear. Anyway, so there we are. I think that's where we're up to, and I just thought it's probably worth mentioning before I forget it all. But yes, so I've sold this beautiful mare, my unicorn, very upset. So one of the reasons I was getting to was that she's busted from someone else mucking her up, from somersaulting over a jump. I can't ride anyway because I haven't got an arena, so that's a lot of work. Coming into winter, I've got chronic fatigue. I don't want to really be looking after 3 horses. And as it turned out, I got quite a good price for her as a broodmare, and that will go towards the VCAT case. So, yeah, if I can't ride her. So that's it for me for now. So, yeah, disappointing.